In this video, I'm going to model this temple or rotunda, I think it's called. It's going to be very similar to this. This is something that I modeled previously, and so I'm going to try to do it relatively nice and slow so you can follow along. So here I am in Blender, and I should have my screencast keys on, and yes I do, so we could get going. Press 7 to look from the top view, and press Shift A to bring up the Add dialog box. And let's choose Mesh Circle, and right down here we're going to click that and change the vertices to 6. So we have this pattern here. Now I'm going to go into edit mode by pressing Tab, and this is the front view, but I don't want that point there, so I'm going to rotate this, and looking down, straight down in an orthographic view, I can press R, and let's do R30. And now we have that flat side there. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate it around now, and we're going to extrude it to give some height to these walls. So with it all selected, I'm going to press E to extrude, left click, and I'm going to pull it up a ways, something like that. Now I want to save this shape for later, so with that top edge, all those edges selected, I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to pull it up a ways, just get it out of the way, and press P and separate by selection, and go back into object mode by pressing Tab. So now that is a separate object from this, and this is what we're going to work on right here. And I can take that and just hide it. Okay, so I want to give some thickness now to these walls. I'm going to select them, go into edit mode. I'm going to look down from the top, and I'm going to press E and left click and Alt S, and I'm going to pull. That'll make it go out. So instead I'm going to push and make it come in. Now I don't want to make these too thick. We'll try, let's see. We'll try that. It's a little trial and error, so I'm not always sure how thick to make this. So I'll give that a try anyhow. Okay, I want to have an entranceway at the front. You can do a couple entranceways if you want. I'm going to just do one. So I'm going to drop an edge loop down here by pressing Control R and click and right click. That was left click and then right click. So I now have an edge loop there. I'm going to press 2 for edge selection. Just get rid of the vertices and just look at that. Now I want to make that a hole, so I'm going to press Control B to bevel. Hold Shift and pull apart and do this. Notice if I roll my mouse up I get more segments. I don't want those, I just want this. And I'm going to pull to about there, so there's a little bit on that side and a little bit there. Alright, I'm going to delete this by pressing X faces, and I have an opening, but I want to fill that back up. So in edge selection number 2, I'm going to Shift Alt and click there and press F to make a face, and I'm going to do the same here, F to make a face. Okay, with that done, I want to create sort of a surface on the top of this, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring in an edge loop, Control R, and drag it up to here, and I'm going to, let's see, let's press 3 for face selection. Select this face and then this face, and then hold down Control and click on that one. We should get just the top ones there. And now I have another level there. I want that a little shorter, so we're going to have 2 sections. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to press 3 for face selection, and I want to select this one and this one, and let's see, I want to get all of them, so I'm going to Control Alt and click there, Control Alt and click there. So I've got all of that stuff selected. I'm going to press E and Alt S, and I'm going to push. Look down from the top, and you can see that I've pushed out that first layer and the second layer. I'm going to deselect and then Shift Alt and click there. And now I've got the top part, and I want to do that again a little bit. E, Alt S, and push. So I've got 2 sort of levels like that. Now, this stuff is thicker wider than the original was, and that's why I wasn't quite sure how wide I want to make this. That might be a little too wide, but it might be just fine. So let's stick with it. And now let's get rid of the bottom vertices. Go into edit mode and select this face, this one, and then control click that one. X for delete faces. We don't need those. Let's go back into object mode now, and let's add a bevel to this from the modifier tab. I'm using an older version of Blender. Just search for bevel and put 2 and switch the amount to 0.02, maybe 0.01 even. And we have our first sort of section. Let's create some stairs going in by selecting this face here in face selection, and Shift E to duplicate and pull it out a little ways. You can see that's at the front there. I want to separate it from the rest of the model, so press P and separate by, choose the first one, selection. Go back into object mode, so that's the one we've got. I'm going to take this and pull it back a little bit. I'll be pulling it right into the wall there in a moment, but we're going to look from the front, and I'm going to press 2 for edge selection and select that edge, pull it in, and I'm going to select the top edge and I'm going to pull it down a little ways. So I have that. Okay, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to press E to extrude, left click, pull this out in the Y, something like that, and then press 2 for edge selection again, and take this front and pull it down like that. I'm going to come in here and 3 for face selection, select that back face, and X faces, get rid of it, and underneath X faces, get rid of that. A to select it all and just pull it back in, so it joins like that. Okay, 3D cursor is still in the middle, so we can mirror this. So it has the bevel on it. Just go ahead and add a mirror, and we want it in the X, and we'll have that. Let's create some stairs themselves by pressing Shift A, mesh plane. That'll come right in there. And I'm going to scale this down by pressing S. I'm going to pull it forward and scale it so that it fits and sort of goes into these pieces here. I'm going to pull it back a little ways past this, and I'm going to pull it up a little bit to imagine that would be where my first stair would go. 2 for edge selection and select that back. Pull this forward and give yourself the size of the step that you would want. I'm going to take this and I'm going to extrude it down, but first I'm going to switch over here the snapping to edge. I'm going to pull it down, and we're going to extrude it down, so E and left click, pull it down, and then hold control as you hover over the bottom of this. So there's my step. And again, it's trial and error. You could bring this up a little bit. You just want it under this piece, and that might be too much of a bevel, by the way. So we could look at 0.5 for that, in which case I might change this to 0.5. We'll go with that. I'm going to take this and I'm going to add an array. So just find array in your modifier sections there, and I'm going to put 0 here, and tab, I'm going to put 1, tab, I'm going to put 1, and enter. And actually that's supposed to be 0. And I'm going to switch this to 3, and I just want my steps to come in to about there. That's fine, and we can work on those in a bit. And so I'm going to apply that, and I think we're okay with that. And then what I'm going to do is I want a bevel on there, the same bevel. I don't want the mirror on that, so this one has just the bevel. So I'm going to select my stairs and then hold Shift and select that last. Control L and copy modifiers. And now the bevel is on there as well. What I will probably end up doing is going into edit mode, selecting that edge and pulling that. So I'll just do that for now, and we'll see where we're at afterwards. Okay, let's Alt H and bring back this piece we saved. And let's take this, we're going to duplicate that again. Shift D, pull it up, and just hide that. actually they're joined, so let's unhide that. Let's select this one, and if you just select a piece and go Control L, you get the whole thing. P, separate by selection, go back into object mode, and now we can just hide that one. Let's take this one, go into edit mode and pull it down, and then S to scale, maybe make it about that big, pull it in, F to make a face, and I actually want to have it down lower so that you step down in. Now, this is probably flipped. I can see it's darkened, so I'm just going to do that. So if it is, make sure it's selected and go Alt-N and flip. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my stairs and make sure that this edge is selected, and I'm just going to press E and extrude down, and you can snap it to this by holding Control and just hovering your mouse over there. You can do any kind of design you might want on that. I'm not going to do that. You might want it lower down, but I'm going to leave it there for the moment. So this is what we have. Okay, let's Alt-H and bring that thingamajig back. We're going to need that, and we're going to bring it down. And I'm actually going to copy it again. So I'm in object mode there, Shift-D to duplicate, pull it up. So it is a separate object right now. H to hide it again. Let's take this one. Let's look down from the top, go into edit mode. I'm going to press S to scale, and I'm going to bring it in so it's, you know, kind of close to the edge here. And I'm going to actually pull it. It's going to go down to the ground in a moment, but I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection. I just find it easier to see. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to press F to make a face. I'm going to go into wireframe so I can see. I'm going to press I to inset, hold Shift, and I'm going to pull it in kind of an equal distance on the inside as it is outside. Oh, I don't know if I explain that very well, but you know, the amount that it overlaps this is the amount that, let me just delete that face, and then this is what we have. Okay, if I look at that, you can see the other one through there. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this up. Just going to start E and just start pulling it up, and then I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to bring it back down. All right, pretty much till it touches the floor. At this point, you have to decide how tall you want this to be, but we should also flip this. Press A to select it all, Alt-N, recalculate outside. Notice the color change. It was flipped. Shift-Alt and click these faces. I switched to face selection. I pressed 3. So, like I say, we need to figure out how tall we want this, pretty much. So, I'm going to go with something like that. And I'm going to Alt-H and bring this back and take this and pull it down. It should be wider than that. And I'm going to do some work on this just to create a bit of a quick roof, and then it'll make more sense. So, with that there, I'm going to press E to extrude, and okay, I'm in face selection, so that's why that doesn't work. Okay, E to extrude, pull up a little ways, and then I press E to extrude, pull up more, and then S to scale. And I'm going to come in quite far, and I'm going to press F to make a face. I'll do some more work on that in a bit. We're also going to have to fill the bottom. So in edge selection, Shift-Alt to click F to make a face. And that. So just look at it and get the sense, because we're about to cut into this. So I think, let's see, what do I think? I think maybe it could go a little higher. All right, let's go with that. Okay, so again, I'm looking from the front now. I press 1. I'm looking from the front, so I can do some work on the front here, and I'm in an orthographic view rather than being on an angle, which is why I rotated this in the first place. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to cut out here. My 3D cursor is right there, so I'm going to Shift A, Mesh. I'm going to bring in a circle, and I'll leave it at its default 32. It was at 6, so I'm going to bring it back to 32. Go into edit mode, 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to scale this down and rotate X90, RX90. If I pull it up, you can't see it because it's in the middle, so I'm just going to push it forward. Just make sure you're in an orthographic, position so that it's in the front. I can change the scale of that in a minute, but what I want to do is deselect, press B to box select, and select those vertices, X vertices. Okay, so what we want to do, I'm going to scale it down a little bit. I want this near the top, not right at the top and not way down there. Just put it near the top, so just a bit of room. And I'm going to select this vertex and this one. I'm going to press E to extrude and left click, and I'm going to SX, scale in the X, pull them in. We're going to create a mushroom shape. I want a little bit of a lip here, as you'll see. I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull all the way down here, just even past the floor. Select it all, F to make a face. I'm creating a tool that I'm going to use to cut into this. With that selected, I'm going to press E to extrude and pull out thicker than these walls, and I'm going to hide that in a second. Now that is probably flipped, so just go Alt-N, recalculate outside. And even if it wasn't, it doesn't matter. I'm going to pull that in like that. Now, let's hide this. Just note that that goes all the way through. And really, we can focus on just this and this. So let's take this and Shift, select that, and then slash key, which is under the question mark. Okay, so this is what I have. Okay. Now, I want an opening on every one of these, so we're going to be using the spin tool. So I'm going to look down from the top. My 3D cursor is still right in the middle. I'm going to select this. I'm going to go into edit mode and select it. You'll see my gizmo is right on top of this orange piece that we just created. I'm going to come up here and switch this pivot point to 3D cursor. And now I'm going to scroll down this side. I can use my scroll wheel down to this thing that looks like a piece of pie. It's the spin tool. I'm going to click that and make sure that I'm on Z here and I see these pluses. I'm now going to grab one and I'm going to start pulling around the circle and just let go. Just pull it a bit. Over here I'm going to change the number of steps to 6, which is equal to the number of sides. I'm going to choose use duplicates and I'm going to change the angle to 360. Now, when I do that, there are some overlapping vertices. I'm going to press A to select everything, M to merge, and I'm going to merge by distance, and watch down at the bottom here. I removed 42. I'm going to scroll up and go back to my usual move sort of icon, and I'm going to deselect and go back into object mode. You see I've got the mushroom shape on all sides of this. We'll be using the spin tool quite a bit. Now I'm going to perform a Boolean to cut out in here. So select this piece here, go to your modifiers and find Boolean, leave it on difference. With the eyedropper, choose the mushroom thing. And then click apply. You can now take this, don't delete it yet, hide it, and you'll see this. Now, if for any reason the Boolean didn't work, for example, if when you did this, your mushroom shape stayed, but the rest didn't, it could be because the mushroom shapes were touching each other, and you might have to make them smaller. All right, but this is the shape that I wanted. I'm going to slash key to bring back the other stuff. Just have a look at what I've got. Sometimes you got to do this a couple times before you get the correct size of everything. I'm okay with this and the way it sticks onto the inside. That's what I wanted. I'm hoping it's not too thick, but we'll find out later. All right, Alt-H, I'm going to bring back everything. I'm going to hide the roof again, and I'm going to come in here, and I only want to work on one of these because we're going to do something, and then we're going to spin it again. So I'm going to press 3 for face selection because it's easier, and I'm going to select this piece, hold Shift, this one, this one, this one, this one. I want to keep the front one. I'm going to press Control-L, which will select what's linked to it, X, faces. Get rid of all those so I can just work on this one here. Okay, what I want to do is I want to create a brick arch that's going to fit in there. So I'm going to look from the front. I'm going to go into wireframe. I'm in edit mode, and I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection and box select these X vertices. I don't need those vertices. Go back into solid mode. And this is what I have in this spot. Now, I'm going to go back into edit mode, and I'm going to select this face and this one. I don't need those. Get rid of those. And I have my arch, but it's a little bit too wide. And let's go back. We were in 3D cursor. Let's go back to median point. That'll bring the gizmo right back on this. I want to scale this in the Y. I may have to center it like that. All right, scale it in the Y. And we'll see how wide we want to make this. Scale it in the Y. And I want it sticking out. Let's try that and see how it's going to work. I'm going to look from the front, and I'm going to press E, left click, Alt S, and pull. Now I'm going to select it all and press Alt N, recalculate outside. And I will have this. I want to make these look like bricks, so I'm going to come in. I'm going to press 2 for edge selection, and this is my center one. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to hold Shift and Alt and click this one, and then this one. So I'm not doing the center. I'm going to skip one and do the next one. Skip one and do the next one. Skip and do that. Skip and do that. So skip there and do that one. So I've got those selected. To make them look a little bit like bricks, I'm going to press Control B to bevel, hold Shift and pull, and just split them a little bit like that. Don't have other segments in there, just like that. And press E, left click, Alt S, and push. That makes them go out. So pull to make them come in like that. Something like that. To make it look a little bit better, we're going to add a bevel to that. We have a bevel on here, so select that one. Shift select that one. Control L, copy modifiers. And I have that. Okay. All right, so that sticks through. Cool. The next thing I'm going to do is spin this around. My 3D cursor is still right in the middle, so I'm going to go into edit mode on this thing. Just want to make sure I like the position of it, okay, because once you've got them all around, it's very hard to fix it. All right, I'm going to switch my pivot to the 3D cursor. By the way, I should maybe merge by distance just in case. All right. All right, so now I'm going to come over and find my spin tool, and it's got the same orientation as we already used. I'm going to grab the plus and just yank it around a bit. I want 6 for my steps, use duplicates, and choose 360 degrees. A to select everything, and then M, merge by distance, and we will have gotten rid of some vertices. Go back to my move tool, deselect, and back into object mode, and we have that. All right. Not bad. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is create a little piece under here. All right, so I want to see this. I want to take this, and I think what I'm going to do is come into wireframe and edit mode. Let's switch back to median point. Let's go with 2 edge selection and box select down here. And let's pull this down to the bottom, and then just control and hover your mouse over the bottom there, like that. Okay. We can now, we'll get rid of those X faces. So we deleted those faces, and we've just pulled those down. I still want to make that little piece in a moment. But just before I do that, let's put the bevel on this. So select it. Actually, let's get rid of the top first. 3 for face selection, Shift Alt and click on that edge, and it'll go all the way around. X faces, we don't need those. Okay, let's put the bevel on this. With that selected, Shift, click on that, Control L, copy modifiers. We have a small bevel on there now. Okay, now I can't put an edge loop in there. So what I want to do is, you can see this piece down here, okay, which is extension of this. In edge selection, Shift Alt and click that. And I'm going to Shift D to duplicate it, and I'm going to pull it up. Let's break it out right now. P, separate by selection. So that is its own object. With that selected, I'm going to press E to extrude and pull up, give it some height, something like that, and I'll just pull it up to here. Okay, we're going to make this larger now by pressing E and Alt S, E, and left click, Alt S, and push. And bring it out past the bricks like that. Okay. I'm going to come in here and Shift Alt and click these faces on the inside X faces and delete them. And I'm going to select here and F to make a face. Or I could, let's try grid fill, and then we'll just get the same geometry. Same thing there. Let's go with grid fill. And that just makes it a solid piece there. It'll look like that. Okay, now I'm going to come into here, into edit mode, and Control R to drop an edge loop. Now Control B and pull, and that'll separate it. I want a space like that. And then press E, left click, Alt S, and pull to pull it in a ways. Just don't pull it in all the way to there, you know, pull it in a little ways, just to create a bit of a design. And it'll look like that. Okay, so hopefully that's okay. We're going to be putting a pillar here. These look a little bit long. I almost wish I had made the mushroom a little bit bigger. But again, like I say, trial and error, right? So let's see what we can do. All right, 3D cursor is still in the middle. Go into edit mode of this little piece we just created and switch to 3D cursor. Use the spin tool again. Okay, grab it, give it a little pull. Want 6 sides, use duplicates, change the angle to 360. Enter A to select everything, M merge by distance, and again we've gotten rid of some. And let's see how we're doing. Deselect, go back into object mode, and this is what our temple is beginning to look like. We can Alt H and bring back the roof. We're going to be doing some work on that soon and getting the correct size because we need a pillar underneath here. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go into edit mode on this piece, and I'm going to, in edge selection, select that edge, and I'm going to bring my 3D cursor to there. Shift S, cursor to selected. It's just an easier way to make sure that when I bring a cylinder in to make a pillar, it's in the right spot. Now there's a bunch of ways to make a pillar. This is maybe one of the easier kind of ways to do it. So I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh. I'm going to choose Cylinder, and then we just have to decide how many vertices. And I think I'm going to try 24. If I do 24, yeah, we'll try 24. I'll leave it all the same for now. Go into edit mode, S to scale it down like this. We're going to move it in a moment, but before we do that, let's just say grab the bottom face. So I press 3 for face selection, pull it down to here, grab the top face, pull it up. This is why we're going to have to consider the size of the roof. Now it's not going to sit there exactly. I'm going to look down from the top. Actually, let's hide this. I'm going to look down from the top, and I may go into wireframe as well. And I'm going to, let's switch back to median point. I'm going to just pull it out here, and I'm sort of looking at right now anyhow the dot of my cylinder at the point. That may not be where I want it. We're just looking to see if that's a useful thing. I'm going to scale Shift Z, scale but not in the Z, and just make it a little thinner. And at this point, it's up to you to design your cylinder the way you want. I'm just going to create a simple, shape for this. But I need an area where I can do those indents, and I'm not sure that 32 vertices was the right one to use. They're going to be quite narrow, so or 24, whatever I used. So you might want to go down to a lower value. But I'm going to press Control R to drop an edge loop, and I'm going to press Control B to split it, and I'm going to pull to about the point where I want my little indents to end. Maybe something like that, and deselect. So I could do those first actually, and then do the ends. 3 for face selection, and Shift Alt and click all of this stuff. Should go all the way around. I don't want every single one of them, so I'm going to come up here to select, and I'm going to choose checker deselect, and that'll choose every second one. But before I indent them, I'm going to zoom in a bit. I'm going to press I to inset, hold Shift, and I'm going to pull in like that. Keep them selected. That has created a little bit more geometry. It'll give me a bit more support. Right now I'm going to press E, left click, Alt S, and I'm going to pull. And I'm going to pull them in a little ways like that. So I'll have that. I'll be putting a subdivision on, and that will round it out in a bit. Before I do that, I'm going to work on the cylinder itself. So I'm going to slash key to focus just on that. Come in, and I'm going to select the bottom face, and I'm going to pull it up like this. And I'm just going to create some kind of design. I'm going to press E to extrude, pull down, scale it out. E, come down. I think I'll come down again. E to extrude, come down, scale it in a bit. Maybe E to extrude and come down a little bit. E and scale it out more. I don't know what this is going to look like. Let's come down. Let's do that and then extrude down one more time. Okay, now I'm going to put some edge loops on here, or beveling really. Shift Alt and click this edge and Control B and pull. And I'm going to roll my mouse up a couple of times like that. I think I'll come in here. I don't really need to do much because I'm going to be putting a subdivision on. Control B, I'll pull, and I'll just have maybe 2 like that. And I may Shift Alt and click here and pull and do that. Let's just try a subdivision and see what it looks like. But first, I'm going to get rid of this top because it's going to look weird without it. And then we'll look at the top. I may even be copying this. So, Control 1, shade smooth. Not looking too good yet. Come in, Control R right in the middle, and now your computer may slow down a little bit. Control B, pull to split, and keep pulling until we get close to the top, but not right at it. So they're somewhat rounded. You can scale in the Z if you want to still. And I'm going to do one more time. And I'm going to end up underneath that just to tighten it up a bit more. Like that. And this is the effect that we end up getting. Again, it's trial and error how many you want to use. It's not too bad for me, I guess. And I have half a mind of copying this to the top. If I wanted to do that, first of all, I'm going to get rid of this bottom face. We're not going to need it. Or I could just do something different, I suppose. All right, I'm going to Shift Alt and click this edge, pull it down, E to extrude. I'm going to pull up and scale a bit. Maybe I'll just do this and we'll do some cut-ins or something, and I'll extrude again, just bring it out and extrude up like that. I'm going to drag an edge loop down there just to sharpen that up because we have a subdivision on in there. And I'm going to take this edge and I'm just going to bevel like that. And maybe here, maybe they come out, I don't know. I rolled my mouse up 3 times. Control B, like this. Maybe E and Alt S and push. See, does that look any good? It's kind of dumb, but you can take all the time you want. I'm going to drag a couple of edge loops to sharpen this up a little bit. Yeah, that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so now we got to get the right size. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to scale it in the Z a little bit. And it's looking really at the bottom. Trying to get that to fit. Something like that. And then I'm going to Alt-H to bring the roof back. So I'm going to be working something like that. I don't mind the pillar pushed into the wall a little bit. So I'm going to go with that. So at this point right now, I can make this a little smaller. So what I'm going to do is 3 for face selection, Shift Alt and click this. That'll select everything all the way around it. I know it's a little hard to see with that. Here, I'll just switch to that for now. I'm going to look down from the top and in wireframe, and I'm just going to press S and pull it in just slightly. I can't really go too much because I got that. Right off the bat, I want to put a bevel on this to make it look a bit better, and I'll make this look better in a second. Shift Alt and click that one, Control L, copy modifiers. I think this could use a bigger bevel. Okay, that's 02. Let's go. Yeah, I'm gonna do that bevel on that. And let me just double check this. 04. Yeah, I'm going to go back to 01 on some of these. All right, just give me a moment to do that and see if I like that. I think in the end I do, and somehow my bevels were got off. Might be a bit too much again, like I say, but for the moment I'm going back to that. Just, I don't know, I just feel a bit better with that. And even these ones, select that, Control L, copy modifiers. Okay. There's something else that I may do on this as a quick change, but right now we're still working on the on this thing here. So I'm going to look from the front. I'm going to come into wireframe on this, and I just want to pull this down. So I'm box selecting, and I'm just going to pull the whole thing down a little bit until it's about there, and it goes like that. Okay, that is definitely actually too much. Okay, I'm going to go with that. All right, decide if you like the pillar. You see, that's what I was talking about before about the thickness of this, but this is coming out a nice distance. It's a rather large pillar. But let's see what it looks like all the way around. Now, this has a subdivision on, so our polys are going to be getting up there, and I'm about to spin this around, and we're going to have multiples of these, so hopefully it's going to be okay. We need to get a good central point now for this again, so I'm going to select the roof, go into edit mode, and Shift S, choose cursor to select it, to bring my 3D cursor right there in the middle. I'm going to select the pillar. I'm going to look down from the top. I'm going to edit mode and make sure it's selected here. I'll go into wireframe, so it's selected. Switch our pivot to the 3D cursor, and you can shut off the subdivision for now if you want, just to make it go a little bit easier. Choose the spin tool and spin it around a bit. I want 6. I'm going to use duplicates, and I'm going to switch this to 360 degrees. A to select everything and merge by distance every time you do this. See, I got rid of a lot there. Deselect, object mode in solid view, and there you go. Now, you could decide if you can live with this squarish shape. You don't even need the subdivision. Let's have a quick look at the statistics. All right, this is not low. I'm at 34,000 tries. If I put that on, I jump up to 80, but I'm keeping it on. I don't care. So you have to decide about that. Okay. Now, I've debated about if I want to change the shape of this. Sometimes I like to come in here and Shift-Alt and click this edge, and Shift-Alt and click this edge, and go back to median point, by the way. And Control-B to bevel and pull and do that kind of a thing. I'm just going to do it and let it go. You decide if you like it or not. I'm not going to do that, though. I just wanted to show it to you. Look from the front, however. We're going to select, I can do the whole thing. Shift-Alt and click that edge, goes all the way through it. Shift-S, cursor to selected, bring the 3D cursor there. Go back into object mode. Shift-A, mesh, cube. Go into edit mode and scale it down. And we're going to need to get this to fit so it doesn't necessarily go into the roof. And what I'm going to do is select the cube and shift select that and slash key so we can at least work on this. Okay, go into edit mode. I'm going to scale this in the Y. I just want it poking through that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to scale it in the X a little bit, and then in face selection, select there, scale that in the X. In fact, I'm going to tweak this until I get the shape that I want. Something like that. All right, looks a little funny, that thick. You can have it just on the front if you want, but I think I'm going to have it go all the way through. Slash key to bring stuff back. Let's just have a look at this. Okay. Let's see, maybe I'll bring it up a little bit. I'm going to, let's see what it would look like if we just made it go sort of part way in. Like it's a stone that's just sort of pushed in there. I don't really like it exactly on these lines. I'm going to scale this in the X a little bit. This doesn't look like it's okay. let's try that actually. Let's put on this bevel. Let's do that. And it might be too much because it's the, like a rock-like thing. So maybe I'll turn this one down to 0.05 or something. Now, you can put any kind of cool design on this, but for me, I'm just going to select this face, press I to inset and pull it in like that, and then E to extrude and pull it out a little ways. I'm just going to go with that. That does look a little bit big to me, so I'm just going to scale it down, and position it, and maybe it's fine where it was. Okay, something like that. Any kind of design you want. And now we need to spin that around so it's at every spot. So again, I'll take this, Shift S, cursor to selected, and look down from the top, go to edit mode and wireframe. And I'm going to go to 3D cursor. I'm going to save because I'm starting to get up there in polys. And I'm going to spin. There's a lot of spinning in this one. Grab it, give it a good yank. 6, use duplicates, and 360. Select them all, merge by distance. You know the drill. Deselect, solid view, and object. So again, it might look cool if you did other designs on it, but that's what we got right now. Okay, now let's come over here, and I'm going to turn on the shadow. We'll start to see what we're getting. Make sure we're saving along the way in case it crashes. Okay, so we'll just do a little bit of stuff on this. I'm not crazy about how thick this is actually, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it somewhat thinner and grab the whole thing and pull it down again. Something like that. And what we'll do is we'll come in here, and I'm going to do, what I'm doing is Control R and rolling up, so I have 2 edge loops going around like that. In fact, we could just focus on that /key just to speed up our work. So I've got 2 of those. I'm going to go Control B, pull. I have 2. I might roll my mouse up 1 more so I have a middle one in there, and then try to remember which is the middle one. That was it. And then press S to scale, hold Shift, and just pull it out a little bit. And with the bevel on there, that'll give you that effect. We'll smooth it in a bit. The next thing I'm going to do is, should I do it now? Or I think I will grab this shape here in face selection, Shift D to duplicate it, pull it up, P to break it out, and just leave it there for a moment. Come back to the roof. 2 for edge selection, and Shift Alt and click here and here. I'm holding Shift and Alt and clicking here and here and here. And we're going to bevel this by hand. We're going to Control B, pull, roll back so there's just 2, and do something like that. That'll just accentuate those things there. Which we could try Shade Smooth and see how that looks. What I might do is come in here and in face selection, select this face. It looks a little discolored, and I'm just going to select that. I'm going to press I to inset and hold Shift and just pull that in a little bit. That'll help the shading, but there may be other stuff that we need to do after. I assume that's the shadow there. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to select this. I'm going to press I to inset and just pull it in. That'll help with the shading as well. Okay. Take this guy here. I'm going to pull it down. And let me actually come back to this and see if I want that other bevel on. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And this one, I'm going to come back. Sorry, I keep going back and forth and decide. Anyways, I'm going to come in here. Let's go back to my Mad Cat. That's what I wanted. Extrude up a little bit. That's probably too much for that, actually. So 0.1, and that's going to go on there. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate it and just pull it up a little ways. I'm going to put something in between. I just want it like that. And then I'm going to select this top face. I'm going to press, let's go back to median point. E to extrude, pull it up, and S to scale. So we're doing that again. And now I'm just going to extrude up, E to extrude, come up like that, and S to scale. And come in like that, not too tight, something like that. Okay. And you can do anything you want in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, one for vertex selection. I'm going to select a vertex and bring my 3D cursor there. Now I'm going to bring in a cylinder, and it can be very low poly, something like 14, and choose nothing instead of end gone, so the ends are open, and scale it down. I'm just going to make like a little post in there, and you press the period key to zoom in. You'll look from the top in wireframe, and I'm just going to drag it in so it's underneath. And I'll figure out how big I want this in a bit, so just get it so it sort of rests in there. And then 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click. I'm going to pull it up into there. Now select it and Alt N, recalculate outside. And we can shade smooth and just see, okay, that looks like that. And that might be fine, or maybe I'll make it a little bit narrower. I want to scale it, but not in the Z, so scale or S, Shift Z, make it a little narrower like that. That's fine. I can take this and I can shade smooth that stuff, and we can look at adding some edge loops to this, which will sharpen it up, which is what we really want to do. So 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click around here. We can do a few of these, maybe this one, and maybe this one. Let's do all those at the same time. Control B and pull, so you just have 2, and let's do all these corners. Just go for that kind of look. So Shift Alt, let's get that one. I'm holding Shift and Alt and clicking, and might as well do the top ones, and that will change the shape of the very end of this. And you might like that, or maybe you want to put on a UV sphere, like a little ball or something. Control B, just pull a little bit. Okay, that gives us that ridged look better, and I think that's fine anyhow, like that. Okay, so back to this. I want to spin this around to the 6 points, so I'm going to select like this face, nice and central. Shift S, cursor selected. That could be my pivot point. So select this. Okay, go into edit mode in wireframe. Switch your pivot to the 3D cursor, and yet again we're spinning. A lot of spinning in this. 6 of them, use duplicates, and 360. And guess what we're going to do next? A to select it all. Merge by distance. Go back here, deselect, solid view, and object mode. You have a little something on there. Slash key to bring everything back. Okay, so we're almost done. Then it's up to you if you want to do something like Control R, okay, and then roll your mouse up, maybe do 3. Okay, left click, right click to finish it. And then with those selected, or if they're deselected, just Shift Alt and click these edges. If you want to do this, Control B, pull, not too much, just like that. Okay, E, Alt S, and pull, and just pull them in a little bit to give that. Okay, now the shading is a little bit funny, so we're going to work on that in a second. We could do that right now. Okay, you don't have to apply the bevel. I'm going to come over here and choose weighted normal. Come to the normals and choose normals, auto smooth, and watch the model. And that fixes that right up. Okay, and you can try that on various other things. This might need it. Let's just look at this and see if that can help. I mean, otherwise you can put in various edge loops. Like for example, I didn't under here. I could drag that in, and that may help. But if not, what after the bevel, by the way, is the weighted normal and normal's auto smooth. Watch the model. You see, it sharpens it up, and it looks really good. So I'm not sure I need that in many other places. I might. Really, it's when you add when you shade smooth. Okay, but it looks like that. But I'm going to be joining some of this in just a moment anyhow. So I just want to have a look at this. I think I'm liking it, and so I'm going to start joining some pieces. Make sure I save. This one has a mirror on it, so I'm just going to apply the mirror. I'm not going to. Yeah, see, the bevel's different in some of these. This one I applied the array already, so I'm going to, let's try joining those. And that's okay, and I'll shade smooth. I'll worry about shading errors later if I want to put that weighted normal thing. This one and this one, I'm going to just go ahead and join those. I've got my floor. You might want to do design on that. I'm going to see about just joining that. Okay, now these ones have subdivision. I'm not going to join everything, really. I may just leave it at that, and I'll come over here, and I've got my bevel on there. I can still change it if I want. I'll do weighted normal and watch the model as I do auto smooth. Okay, clears it up. What I will do is A to select it all, tab to edit mode and select everything, M merge by distance, and see if I get rid of anything. And also come over here and check my face orientation. Everything looks good. And at this point, save. Let's look at this. Let's go Shift C to bring the 3D cursor right down to the bottom. Collapse this. This is a collection. Let's call this, we'll call it Temple. I don't know if I want to call this Temple or Rotunda. At this point, let's look at let's go back to median point. Let's look at the statistics. All right, it's not low poly or anything. Let's Shift A, come down to collection instance Temple, and just drag out another one. And this won't increase your statistics, all right, because it's just an instance. But if you wanted to do something like, take this one, we got it selected already, and like do something like rotate Z 180. You know, if you wanted one facing that way, and then Shift D, take that one and rotate Z 45. I don't know, just, or let's rotate Z 90. So it's like that. Okay, you're still at your 84,000. No problem, right? So it's at this point, I'm going to get rid of my screencast keys so they're not flashing up there. And in fact, I'll get rid of all this stuff in Control Spacebar, sorry. And now you can just experiment. Now you're welcome to unwrap this and texture this, but just play around with different, you know, different looks for this thing. And that's it. That's our temple. Pretty straightforward. Trial and error in order to get all this stuff to fit nicely. You know, hopefully you'll like the end result. Okay, so that's going to be it for now. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.